Hello guys, we will be reacting to Asmongold, I love this guy video for Trump meeting of Salvador President.
Do you plan to return him?
Well, I'm suppose you're not suggesting that I smuggle a terrorist into the United States, right? They tell me.
What did he say? He says, I hope you're not suggesting.
Smuggling terrorists. What they call terrorist. There is no... Okay, let's see.
That I should smuggle a terrorist back into the United States. Listen.
What is can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, I'm suppose you're not suggesting that I smuggle a terrorist into the United States, right? They tell me how can I smuggle? How can I return?
These are the jokes that... Yeah, this is American joke, you know.
Him to the United States, like I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like,
How do we get here? That's crazy, bro. Like, yeah, this is common. Bro, we are so back.
I knew him as a very young man. Now he's just a young man. And he's done a fantastic job. Mr. President, it's an honor to have you.
Thank you,
You're doing incredibly
Content president, that's right.
And we appreciate...
That would be interesting. That would be interesting if there are guys which are analyzing the body language. That would be interesting for the president of El Salvador to be analyzed his left hand fingers positioning, but I'm not a specialist in that for sure.
Working with you because you want to stop crime, and so do we. And it's very, very effective. And I want to just say hello to the people of El Salvador and say they have one hell of a president. Okay, and I mean that. And
Well, they love him over there. Like, this dude's approval ratings in El Salvador are through the fucking roof. Like, they love him.
Well, I know him as a very young man, Marco. Even younger than you. You know, he started pretty young.
Little Marco.
He'll always be younger.
Yeah.
Young at heart. But I want to thank you for the great job you're doing. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Well, it's an honor.
Also, this clapping from the President Trump, hand of the president, the other president. That would be interesting to be analyzed, but as I said, I'm not a specialist. On the back scene, do somebody know that these things are goats or they're just yellow? Behind the presidents, I don't know. It seems goat or gold plated maybe. That would be interesting.
Honor to be here in the Oval Office with the president and leader of the free world. We're very happy.
Leader of the free world. Yes.
And we're very eager to help. We know that
That's right.
We have a crime problem, a terrorism problem that you need help with.
Yep.
And we're a small country, but if we...
So El Salvador will help USA to solve the crime problems. Okay.
we can help, we can do it. And we actually turned the murder capital of the world. That was the journalist.
That's what's crazy is that like 10 years ago, I would always use El Salvador as an example for a PvP server. And then this guy came.
Bro, PvP server. Like everything is MMO. That was a good one.
Came in and just flipped the script.
Right. Murder capital of the world into the safest country in the Western Hemisphere.
It's impressive, it is.
And, you know, if sometimes they say that we imprisoned thousands. I like to say that we actually liberated millions.
He didn't imprison thousands, he liberated millions. This is absolutely fucking true. Is that you have a handful of parasites that cause all of the problems, and then after you get rid of them, then the problems go away. And so, like, basically, you get rid of all the people.
That's an interesting concept, Asmon. You have a handful of parasites. That would be interesting. What's the definition of parasite in this case? But
People that are killing other people and selling.
People that are killing other people. Okay.
Drugs and stealing things, and then everything gets better for everybody else. It's actually a pretty simple solution, and it's crazy how easy it is to make it work. And the problem, I think, is that in America, it's viewed as a bad thing, but the truth is that you're not doing the people there any favors by letting them get terrorized by these psychos. And I think that's the worst part about it, is that you have these, I think these are people living in gated communities that have like these high-minded ideals of like, oh, let's defund the police. These are the people that need the police the most.
So, like,
It's very good.
The idea of police is to keep the order. Everybody needs the police. I mean, everybody needs the concept of somebody helping and taking care of keeping the order in a way.
Who gave him that line? Do you think I can use that?
and in fact, Mr. President, you have 350 million people to liberate.
Yeah.
But to liberate 350 million people.
Okay, wait. There are 350 million people to liberate. Okay. I have one picture. This is the picture. Let's see.
People, you have to imprison some.
Yeah.
That's the way it works, right? You cannot just free the criminals and think crime's going to go down magically. You have to imprison them so you can liberate 350 million Americans that are asking for
Exactly.
the end of crime and the end of terrorism. And it can be done. I mean,
He's completely
you're doing
right.
it already. And I'm sure that people have seen the change in the streets. A long way to go because you're just initiating your second term. But it's clear that with the numbers at the border, when even in Democrat-run cities, they get a help from the work you're doing. So I'm really happy to be here, honored, and eager to help.
Well, we had a terrible thing happen. We had an administration that allowed people to come in freely into our country from not only South America, but
now we start speaking of things that are my favorite. So, if the following thing what the President Trump will say, if it's true, it's a problem. If it's not true, guess what? It's again a problem. And I see problem in verbalizing this. Let's hear it.
from all over the world, many from the Congo in Africa, Asia, all over the world, Europe, rough parts of Europe, and they
Rough parts of Europe. I am from Bulgaria. I think I fall into my country where I live falls into this categorization.
They came from prisons, and they came from mental institutions, and they came from gangs, and the gangs of Venezuela and other places. And hundreds of thousands and even millions of them came. 21 million people altogether, but many of the people that came, just a tremendous percentage of them were criminals, in some cases violent criminals. We had 11,088 known murderers.
That's interesting categorization. Criminals and violent criminals. I never thought of this categorizing in such a way, like violent criminals, which are violent, I guess, versus other humans and criminals. Are kind of normal criminals, or like let's hear it.
Half of them murdered.
11,088 known.
11,000. How this number? I don't know. These guys have in their mind these numbers or what?
More than one
And Asmon is so funny.
person. This was allowed by a man
Who?
what he did to our country is just unbelievable. So we're straightening it out. We're getting him out. But what they did and what that party did to our country, open borders, anybody could come in. As soon as I heard that, I said, every prison's going to be emptied out. Into our country. That's what happened. And we're straightening it out. And
Thank
we just
God.
had numbers. We had the highest recruiting numbers in the history of our country going into police departments. And a year ago, we had the lowest.
Fucking obviously. It's the same reason as the military. Who the fuck wants to serve and be a professional cuck? People that want to be police officers want to. Some of them are just assholes, of course. But many of them want to do a good thing. Why the fuck would you want to go and be a police officer if you're just going to get cucked with everything?
Numbers. You couldn't hire a
Biggest
police.
change.
Yeah.
Nobody's
From
ever
the
seen
lowest
it.
to the highest.
And the military now, Marines, the Army, Air Force, Coast Guard, every slot is, I mean, we have the best numbers we've ever had. We call it recruitment numbers. And we've never had anything like it. We had records on at every single level.
Yeah, as a military
But
too.
very important, the policemen. The policemen are joining forces now that we're having a hard time with policemen because we weren't protecting our police.
Yeah.
And we cherish our police. The police are great, and the firemen and everybody else.
Absolutely.
But we have the highest
Yep.
numbers that we've ever had. The most.
Do you know who hates the police? White liberals that live in gated communities.
We great enthusiasm and on trade and other things. We're doing great. We're taking in billions and billions of dollars.
Karens.
We made 2 weeks ago. I gave them a little bit of a pause because you have to show a little flexibility. We go back to what we have to do. The markets have been very strong once they got used to it, but we were losing.
The markets are very strong.
$2 billion a day. There's no company.
What? 2 billion. 2 billion. 2 billion. Like 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 times 3. Like 2. And then 9 times 0.
Big like this, but this is the biggest deal ever made. Now we're making $3 billion.
For the record, there are countries which have yearly budget like what he's speaking about for a week.
$1 billion a day.
What?
We're a great country,
When
but
do
we
I
had
get it?
stupid people running this country, and I can say it. But what they've done to us at the border should never and can never be forgotten.
Stupid people running this country. Again, if it's true, it's a problem. If it's not, it's a problem. I'm sorry.
It's a sin what they did, and you are helping us out, and
See,
we appreciate it.
Thanks.
That's right. That's right.
Actually, what you're doing with the border is remarkable. It has dropped, what, 95%? It's incredible.
It's been more than that.
As of this morning, 99%, 99.1% to be exact.
Why are those numbers not in the media?
Yeah, no, like, because it was like there were like apparently like 11,000 people that got in, like, I think it was in like February. And then like last year, and then like this year, it was one person got in. Honestly, I feel like if you can get in and you can outmaneuver the military and you can get across, I feel like you probably should just get citizenship. Like at this point, like that's impressive.
okay. That's just, I don't know. Imagine the guy is entering the government building and it's saying, guys, I tricked all of you. I maneuvered the military. Just give me the citizenship, please. Because, and they ask, why? Because Asmongold said it.
Impressive to me. It is. That's impressive. Yeah, you deserve, like, at least you get a green card for a while, right? Like, one, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's impressive because it's not impressive when you like do something which doesn't have a good opposition. Like if somebody is thinking how to prevent you entering that country and it's spending some resources doing so, sure, it will be impressive if you succeed entering that country. Simply because somebody put an effort and a lot of money paying guys to prevent this. And I might agree with Asmongold here.
Amazing. Yeah, like, that's impressive. Yeah, like Takashi Castle, exactly.
Well, they get out with the fake news, you know, like CNN over here doesn't want to put them out because they don't like putting out good numbers. They only like putting out because I think they hate our country actually.
Yeah, this is very,
But it's
No, it's completely fun. CNN, it's hating the USA. Okay. Very good joking tone in this meeting.
Is it? And he just pauses and looks.
Everybody's laughing. President is laughing. The other president is laughing. Asmongold is laughing. I'm laughing. Everything is good.
At him and smiles. I hear that?
It's a shame. You're right. Isn't that a great question? Why doesn't the media? Why don't they put out numbers?
yeah, 99%. I mean, it's crazy, right?
We're doing
It's
great.
a crazy turnaround.
Christy, could you maybe say a couple of words about the border? How we're doing?
You know, it's just been absolutely phenomenal what a great leader can do. Clear direction, our laws matter. We should only have people in our country that love us, and the Border Patrol and our ICE officers and law enforcement officers have done fantastic work. So we're
Wait.
proud of Patrol and our. We should only have people in our country that love us. And
We should have only people in our country that love us. What do you mean we should have only people in our country that love us? I don't. Yeah, I know that the rest of are the terrorists, but
the Border Patrol and our ICE officers and law enforcement officers have done fantastic work. So we're proud of them. Now we just need to get the criminals and murderers and rapists and dangerous gang members and terrorist organizations out of our country. So, Mr. President Bukele, we thank you very much for your partnership. It has been wonderful for us to be able to have somewhere to send the worst of the worst and someone to partner with.
That's right. We sent them to super
And we'd like to
jail.
continue that partnership because it's been a powerful message of consequences. Mr. President, you wanted people to know that there was consequences if you break our laws and harm our people and endanger families, and this is a clear consequence for
See,
the
that's
worst.
what I was saying, is that if you know that you're being sent to super jail if you fuck around, I guarantee you there's going to be less people that want to fuck around. That's a fact. Yeah, literally.
What do you mean fuck around, bro? What does it mean?
Who doesn't want to deport these people? People that never have to live with the consequences of not deporting them. That's the answer. It's a luxury position that's held by people that never have to be held accountable for it.
To the worst, that we have somewhere to put them.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we even had this gang member from Venezuela, one of the ones you sent, and
Yeah.
we interviewed him just to get some information, etc. from them. And he said, "Oh, well, I got arrested 6 times, but they released me the 6th time, so I should be released again." And then we said, "Well, what's the last thing you do?" And he said, "Well, I shot a cop in the leg, but I didn't."
What?
Didn't kill him. I just shot him
This is the jokes. The jokes continue like.
in the leg.
I was like, yeah, why do they have me in jail, bro? He's not even dead. What's this uptight shit?
And we're like, this guy was arrested 6 times here in the United States. 6 times. He was
Yeah.
released 6 times, and in the he was released 5 times, and the last time he was sent to El Salvador, right? So he's not getting a release. But the last time he shot a cop, actually, and he shot him in the leg. So these are.
Gee, guys, I wonder why people don't want to join the police force. Well, I don't know. Maybe people don't like being they don't want to sign up to be a target dummy.
Like you said, there's something broken.
It's the liberal establishment, but they're not running things anymore in this country.
A little bit for Asmongold. From this picture, do you know how many would, from the rest of the world, join the US police force just for the buying capabilities, for the salary? They can accept being target dummy.
And we're run by, and I don't say conservative, I don't say anything, we're run by people with great common sense.
Yeah, common sense.
Because it's all common sense.
Yeah.
It's not liberal conservative, it's common sense.
Exactly.
And, do you allow men to play in women's sports? Do you allow men to box? Your women and box, because I know you have a lot of boxing.
That's violence.
That's abuse of a
Violence
woman.
against women.
It's
Yeah,
abuse of a
totally.
woman. But we have people that fight to the
Yeah,
death.
it's violence against women. Exactly, it is. It's so obvious. Duh. Fucking duh. Of course.
Because they think men should be able to play in women's sports, and some of those sports it wouldn't
No,
matter
you're right. He is really orange today. Yeah, bro, he got it on thick today.
much, but it
He,
still
he used the whole Cheeto bag.
matters. But some of them are very dangerous for women.
Some years ago,
Jay did a good job.
like we said, a decade ago or so, women rights movements were pressuring so that
Yeah.
we enacted specific laws to avoid men abusing women. And I think those laws were great because there were a lot of men abusing women.
I think that like the language of it not being about like sports or equality, but it just being about women being abused. I think this is another example of how I feel like one thing that I really like about him and also Trump is that, and JD Vance and like a lot of the people here, is that they're co-opting the emotional manipulation and they're using it in their benefit, because like that's really what it is. And a lot of these positions that these people have are totally built on emotional blackmail and manipulation and implication of like you're a bad person or something like that. And so as soon as you break that and you can counter that with something that's equivalent, it immediately falls apart. And that's why the support for these positions have fallen off a cliff. It's because the emotional upper hand has been lost. And that was the only reason that people ever held the position to begin with. Everybody knows this is retarded, but if they can feel good about themselves saying it, they'll do it anyway.
Some of the same people are trying to backtrack on that and actually trying to make new laws allowing men to abuse women in sports.
Yeah.
So actually, that doesn't
You do
make
it in
sense.
sports.
It doesn't make sense.
It's crazy. You know, they have weightlifting records, right?
Yeah.
A woman gets up this way, she's incredible. A guy gets up and beats her by 100 pounds. What are you going to do? A record that hadn't been broken in 18 years.
I wonder
You know,
why.
they put on an ounce, quarter of an ounce, eighth of an ounce for 18 years. Now they have a guy come up, ping. The whole thing is crazy. But they continue to fight. And I don't like talking about it because I want to save it for just before the next election. I said, my people, don't even talk about it because they'll change. And
Yeah.
but I watched this morning, there was a congressman.
No, I think that there are a lot of people is like, this is like, it's like a flat earth position where like, if you think that like men should compete against women in sports, you're like disqualified because you're not in reality. It's like a reality benchmark check that you fail.
Fighting to the death for men.
Like that's how I see it, right? Is like if a person believes that, this person is not using logic to come to conclusions, so I can't trust them to make decisions. It's the same with flat earth.
Bro, depends which sport, you know. There are sports that it depends. We cannot have this kind of generalization. I mean,
to play against women in sports. And you say to yourself, why? What are they doing? Right?
okay, let's say horse ride. There are horse riding sports. Why? The women shall not compete to a man. Why? If they have similar weight and they can, they quite the same. You don't need muscles to ride a horse. You need skill. You need training. Is it a sport? Yes. What about shooting with the bow?
What are they doing? But your country's not too big in that.
No,
Bro, have you looked at the reality of your argument? Have you listened to John Oliver talk about this? Are men stronger than women? Just very simple question. Just yes or no.
The average man is stronger than the average woman as a measurement of power, muscles, capabilities of the body. But this is only the body capabilities. It's like the average woman is better at multi-threading. So it's gain a body capability. Multi-threading, taking multiple actions, progressing on multiple tasks at the same time. So this is also a fact.
I mean, this is, because this is an important question, right? A lot of people don't know the answer to this. It's important that we get to the bottom of it.
What if people don't know the answer of this? Okay.
Most of the time, it isn't men and women, it's kids. Men are usually stronger than women. Okay.
Oh, really?
So, what does that have to do with the point? So you think that, so for kids' sports, you think kids' sports should be co-ed? Like, let's say middle school, 11-year-old girls, should they be able to play on, the boys' basketball team? Or, should boys be able to play on the girls' basketball team? Should you just have one basketball team? Is that what you think? Most kids are co-ed at that age, yes? When you were in middle school, were your sports co-ed? Okay, so 95% of people are saying no. So how do you reconcile that? When I was 6, maybe? Yeah, exactly. There's no foundation for this argument at all. Nobody agrees with this. Nobody thinks this makes sense. The John Oliver episode, every single person who he talked to that was an expert prefaced their statements by saying, "We know there's a difference, but..." In my opinion, that should be the end of the conversation. Okay, then there's a difference. This is not this is such a ridiculous thing to even discuss. Why are we even talking about this? How do we get here? This is...
So many Americans here, and how do we get here to this discussion? And yes, that's a very good question.
Insane. It's bro, I would rather listen to arguments about flat Earth, because it's the thing is with flat Earth is that you can't really tell if the Earth is flat or not by just living day to day, right? You have to understand abstract science to an extent. But this, you've lived your whole life, you've seen men and women your whole fucking life, and if you come to the conclusion that they're the same, you this is a personal reality you can't even keep up with. This is worse than flat Earth. And that's bad. Think about it. You think the average 16-year-old boy isn't stronger than the average 16-year-old female? No. I think that at peak strength, I bet the strongest 16-year-old males are stronger than any female in the world. You already got power crept at that point. You're done. Because that's biology. And it's the same with a lion or a tiger.
Why this discussion needs to take so much time? What?
You can get as strong as you want, but you're never going to be as strong as a lion that's not even trying. You'd be the biggest dude in the world, and the lion going to be not going to give a fuck. Because it's a fucking lion. It's different. There are exceptions, but there's not. This is the logic. So, how many fingers are people born with?
25.
10. We all know it's 10. Everybody knows. You want to say 8 and 2?
We can discuss, are they not 25, bro?
2 thumbs, real cute. At the end of the day, there will always be extreme, radical, medical, if
Proof that they're 25, they're not 10.
events. But this is not the norm. This is not the way it usually is. You don't make decisions based off of that. You don't make decisions based off, well, there's some people that have 9 fingers, so let's make a controller for people with 9 fingers. Nothing works that way. Just stupid as fuck.
Let's move on.
Of course, we're big in protecting women.
Good.
Yeah.
It's a very important form of protection, too.
And as you can see, most of my cabinet are women, so.
That's impressive.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why you
Yeah.
run
They're
it.
not DEI hires or anything.
They
They're
can
just
be
great
too.
at what they do.
It just says that the women that he has are not DEI hires. Yeah, exactly. Like, of course. That's just how it is.
That's right. This is very impressive.
Yeah,
This
no.
is a first. We've had women, but we've never had 3 of them right here. That's
4 and 3
And look
men.
at look at we
We never had 3 of them. Oh. Okay.
You guys feel a little bit mistreated? That's good. I like it. We've been advanced. I've been very advanced in that regard too. We have Pam, who's been so fantastic. Christy, and the most powerful woman they see
I
anywhere. in the
know,
world.
exactly.
She's rated.
They're all afraid of her.
Susie Wells. They say, oh, she's tough. Most powerful woman in the world, according to magazines. What do I know?
Yes.
But I think she probably is.
Yeah, she probably is.
You know, she probably is.
Congratulations.
And you know, Stephen, who's done such a great job. We have great
He's
people.
very famous.
Is that
now.
Baldy?
But we love working with him. He really lets them have it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There's no games.
No, no, no.
Have any questions, please?
President Trump?
Go, let's not start with
President.
CNN, because it's so...
Bro,
What? No, that's nice. Suck.
Do you have any questions, please?
President Trump?
Go, let's not start with CNN, because it's so...
Oh my God, bro, Mr. President. Bro, 12 more years, guys. 12 more years of this.
They're just so
Mr. President.
wrong. Yeah, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. You repeatedly mentioned last night that Russia's attack on Ukraine was a mistake. What is the exact mistake? And have you given Putin a deadline to actually move toward a ceasefire?
The mistake was letting the war happen. If Biden were competent, and if Zelensky were competent,
the mistake is letting the war happen. Again, I'm sorry. If this is true, it's a problem. If it's not true, it's a problem. I can argue, one can argue, which one is a bigger problem. But this statement, it's kind of a problem in every sense, in every direction, in every interpretation possible.
competent. And I don't know that he is. We had a rough session with this guy over here. He
I
just
remember
kept
that.
asking for more and more. That war should have never
was a
been
crazy
allowed to
day.
happen. That war, I went 4 years and Putin wouldn't even bring it up. And as soon as the election was rigged and I wasn't here, that war
Putin
started.
got in there because Biden was asleep and couldn't stop him.
There was no way that war should have been allowed to happen. And Biden should have
Yeah,
stopped
he
it.
didn't even know what happened.
And you take a look at Putin. I'm not saying anybody's an angel, but I will tell you, I went 4 years and it wasn't even a question. He would never, and I told him, don't do it. You're not going to do it.
Yeah.
And it was the apple of his eye, but there was no way that he would.
The thing is that, like, just real quick before I get into this, somebody says, bro, I agree with you on the trans issue 100%. Some women have insane traits given by God himself. Serena Williams that allowed her to be dominant in tennis. Did those traits give her an unfair advantage? Why don't you ask Serena Williams what she thinks about men playing against women in sports? Why don't you go look that up? You're in for a very rude awakening.
Would have done it. All you had to do is lower oil prices. If you lowered oil prices, Biden kept the prices so high because he made it impossible to.
Bro, that was interesting, man. In a matter of 10 seconds, on some very popular content, we were discussing like men compete, or in a matter of minutes, men competing women in certain sports, and now we are discussing a war. Isn't this a little bit too much of a jump? For a serious discussion and serious tribune, as like president institution speaking? I don't know.
To get it. If you lowered oil prices, you would have never had the war. But you wouldn't have had it with me anyway. That war would have never happened.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great abuse. So now what do? You get a country where 25...
That war would have never happened. But isn't it that a way of kind of who knows what would have happened and what wouldn't, and why we need to speak for the past. Isn't it a little bit empty discussion to speak for the past in this way? Because who really knows, and why he knows that? By why, I mean some arguments, you know.
5% of its land is gone, and the best locations where millions of people are killed. You know, you haven't reported accurately the death. And this was Biden's war, and I'm trying to stop it.
Jesus.
And I think we're going to do a good job. I hope we're going to do it. They lose 2,500 young people a week, think on average. Now, they're Russians and they're Ukrainians, but it's 2,000. We don't care. It's like whatever it is.
Intolerable.
They're not from your country, they're not from mine, but I want to stop it.
North Korea.
2,500, it's a killing field. It's like the Civil War. You take a look, I look at the satellite pictures. This should not be happening in our time. Of course, our time can be pretty violent, as we know. But that's a war that should have never been allowed to start. And Biden could have stopped it, and Zelensky could have stopped it, and Putin should have never started it. Everybody's to blame.
Except
Have
him.
you spoken to President Zelensky, sir, about his
Obviously. I mean, this goes without saying, but everybody except him.
offer to purchase more Patriot missile batteries?
Oh, I don't know. He's always looking to purchase missiles, you know. He's against, listen, when you start a war, you got to know that you can win the war, right? You don't start a war against somebody that's 20 times your size and then hope that people give you some missiles.
This is what we saw earlier.
If we didn't give them what we gave, remember, I gave them javelins.
Yeah.
That's how they won their first big
You
battle.
knew that was coming, bro.
With the tanks that got stuck in the mud, and they took them out with javelins. They have an expression that Obama at the time, Obama gave them sheets and Trump gave them javelins. But just something that should have never happened. It's a really shame. The towns are destroyed. Towns and cities are, you know, largely destroyed. They have the spires, you know, the beautiful spires that go up. They say they were the most beautiful in the world in Ukraine for whatever reason, but the most beautiful in the world. They're mostly laying on their side, shattered and broken.
Yeah.
And most importantly, you have millions of people dead. Millions of people dead because of 3 people. I would say 3 people. Let's say Putin, number 1, but let's say Biden, who had no idea.
What do you mean? Millions of people dead? What? What millions of people dead?
What the hell he was doing. Number 2, and Zelensky.
So it's Biden's fault more than Zelensky's fault. I really like this.
I don't really think there are millions of people dead. Like 25% of my country is populated with Ukrainians. And there are Russian military forces, and yeah, there are deaths, but millions? What? Why? Like 5 minutes ago, we were speaking for 11,823, whatever exact number of criminals which are. And now we are having the roughly millions dead. What do you mean millions dead? Where are these millions?
Diplomacy. Totally throwing Sleepy Joe under the bus. It's completely his fault. Zelensky is just a victim of how stupid Biden is. That's really good.
And all I can do is try and stop it. That's all I want to do. I want to stop the killing. And I think we're doing well in that regard. I think you'll have some very good proposals very soon.
Last question, sir. Have you attributed a motive through the FBI investigation behind the attack on Governor Josh Shapiro over the weekend?
No, I haven't, but the attacker was not a fan of Trump, I understand, just from what I read and from what I've been told. The attacker basically was
just some retarded fucking terrorist idiot that tried to burn down a governor's mansion. Piece of shit. Hopefully they get him. Yep. Pretty simple. That place is destroyed? Yeah. Yeah, there's going to be a subreddit that goes unmoderated tonight.
a fan of anybody. It's
Another
probably just a
retard, they
whack
got him.
job.
Good. Good.
And certainly a thing like that cannot be allowed to happen.
Absolutely.
Your good relation with President Bukele, the best guarantee that this time you...
Maybe whenever Bukele leaves, we can just put him on the plane on the way back, right? Like, just kind of like put him, like, why don't we put him in like the baggage area, right, with the plane? Like, just kind of get him right in there. And then we just kind of like solve, just like get this problem out of the problem. Like, that's illegal?
Outsource the problem.
Come on, you really gonna get in on that again? Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck.
won't terminate the temporary
I have
protected
a great
status.
relationship with this
jeez.
man.
Here we
I
go
have the
again.
best relationship with him. We've known each other. I've known him since he was a very young man, as I said, very, very young, and I was impressed. I said, look how this guy is. In fact, you sort of look like a teenager. You look like a teenager. I said, what
I
kind
don't
of
know
a
if that's
country
good
is
or bad,
this?
Mr. President.
He grew up well in the last 5 years.
Do you support extension for nationals of El Salvador under temporary
support
protected
him.
status?
Do you plan to ask him? Do you plan to ask
Presidente Bukele.
Let's hear the question from this very low-rated anchor at CB.
Thank you.
Oh.
All right, everybody, let's listen to the retard.
President, do you plan to ask President
Low
Bukele
rating.
to help return the man who your administration says was mistakenly
Which one is that?
deported?
See, you knew it was gonna be some bullshit, bro. Like, they're gonna be on, oh my god.
There is always some bullshit, bro. Are you kidding me?
Oh my god.
The man who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador?
Well, let me ask Pam, would you answer that question?
Sure, President. First and foremost, He was illegally in our country. He had been illegally in our country. And in 2019, two courts, an immigration court and an appellate immigration court, ruled that he was a member of MS-13.
Wait, so there were two courts that said that he was a member and he was illegal and people want him back? What? It's crazy. People so dumb, bro. I know.
And he was illegally in our country. Right now, it was additional paperwork had needed to be done. That's up to El Salvador if they want to return him. That's not up to us. The Supreme Court ruled, President, that if, as El Salvador wants to return him, this is international matters, foreign affairs, if they wanted to return him, we would facilitate it, meaning provide a plane.
So will you return? Wouldn't it be to America, right? It'd be to like a, I don't know, like a volcano or something. Like, I mean, we wouldn't be, like, we facilitate an airplane, but did they say that the airplane had to go back to the United States? Or did they just say we had to facilitate an airplane to get him out of El Salvador? Because, like, this is specific, right? Like, there's a lot of ways that you can come up with, yeah, exactly, right?
And you are doing a great job.
Thank you.
Stephen Miller, wait a minute. Can you just also respond to that question? Because, you know, it's asked by CNN, and they always ask it with a slant, because they're totally slanted because they don't know what's happening. That's why nobody's watching them. But would you answer that question also?
Just...
Bro, let me again go back to the picture. Looking at the picture, so all the gray part of this map knows CNN as, I don't know how to describe it, but maybe the biggest or the most responsible and respectable news institution, corporation, whatever in USA. I mean the gray parts, like understanding of CNN, but yet we see here it's not. Again, is this a problem? Do somebody see a problem? So if what the President Trump is saying is true, it's a problem. And if it's not true, it's again a problem. Like,
talking shit like this like crazy. Oh my God.
Yes, gladly.
or maybe we are just joking, like I don't know.
So, as Pam mentioned, there's an illegal alien from El Salvador. So, with respect to you, he's a citizen of El Salvador.
So wait, so the guy that we deported was from So wouldn't it be his call? Because he's the... Well, all right, we're going to hear it from the man himself.
It's very arrogant, even, for American media to suggest that we would even tell El Salvador how to handle their own citizens as a starting point. As two immigration courts found that he was a member of MS-13. When President Trump declared MS-13 to be a foreign terrorist organization, that meant that he was no longer eligible under federal law, which I'm sure you know, you're very familiar with the INA, that he was no longer eligible for any form of immigration relief in the United States.
Nope.
So he had a deportation order that was valid, which meant that under our law, he's not even allowed to be present in the United States and had to be returned because of the foreign terrorist designation. This issue was then...
You realize what she's saying is pure fabrication. Look up the syllabus of the decision 9 judge. On 9 agreed he should return, and no court ruled that he should be removed unless SCOTUS is lying. Well, I mean, if he was found to be part of a gang member and he's an illegal immigrant and we want to send him over to super jail, I think that sounds great. That's the way I feel about it. And I think that's the way most normal people feel about it. He wasn't, though? Really? So 2 courts just kind of invented that? Well, also, like, if he's from El Salvador, shouldn't it be this guy's decision? Because, like, if that's his guy, right? I mean, that's not even our decision. That's going to be his decision. So it's up to him. What does he think? He's still an illegal. Exactly. He's still an illegal. Yeah, what's this? Whoever made that argument, we should send him over to your house? I wish they could.
By a district court judge, completely inverted, and a district court judge tried to tell the administration that they had to kidnap a citizen of El Salvador and fly him back here.
Yeah.
That issue was raised with the Supreme Court, and the Supreme...
So the logic is that, like, the guy gets deported for being here illegally, and he gets sent back to his home country, and the court decides that we have to take him out of his home country to bring him back here illegally again. Oh my God. Oh my fucking God. This is crazy. People making arguments for this guy like he would help them if something happened to him.
Oh.
It's insane. CCOT isn't bringing him back. Oh, I got a feeling he's going to be there for a while. Yep. This is the best wrong deport example, by the way. This is their best wrong deport example, by the way. Yeah, exactly.
Court said the district court order was unlawful and its main components were reversed 9-0 unanimously, stating clearly that neither Secretary of State nor the President could be compelled by anybody to forcibly...
Secretary of State Rubio's like, immediate... See, I told you. Uh-huh. That's me. Yep. I did that.
Retrieve a citizen of El Salvador from El Salvador who, again, is a member of MS-13, which, as I'm sure you understand, rapes little girls, murders women, murders children, is engaged in the most barbaric activities in the world, and I can promise you, if he was your neighbor, you would move right away.
So you don't plan
But
to
the
ask for
Supreme
a
Court is
to get him
asking
back?
to...
Is that
What was the ruling
that-
in the Supreme Court, Steve? Was it 9-0?
Yes, it was a 9-0
In our favor.
in our favor against the district court ruling, saying that no district court has the power to compel the foreign policy function of the United States. As Pam said, the ruling solely stated that if this individual, at El Salvador's sole discretion, was sent back to our country, that we could deport him a second time.
Well,
No version of this legally ends up with him ever living here because he is a citizen of El Salvador. That is the president of El Salvador. Your questions about it, per the court, can only be directed
ask
to him.
him.
I asked
¿Usted lo
President
liberaría,
Bukele,
Presidente
what is
Bukele?
can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, I'm suppose you're not suggesting that I'll smuggle a terrorist into the United States, right?
It's always...
What did he say? He says, I hope you're not suggesting that I should smuggle a terrorist back into the United States. Listen.
What is can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, I'm suppose you're not suggesting that I'll smuggle a terrorist into the United States, right?
It's
I mean,
always
how can I smuggle? How can I return him to the United States? Like, I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like,
How do we get here?
I agree. How we get here? And where are we? Two presidents, one president, two presidents, and a YouTuber. in a discussion about a criminal, one criminal. Okay, let's see.
That's crazy, bro. Like, yeah, this is common. Bro, we are so back. Oh my God. Isn't it crazy that...
Sorry, Asmon is not a YouTuber. He's influencer and much more than a YouTuber.
Something that's just fucking common sense. We've been waiting literally years for this shit to happen. Finally. Fucking finally. I've been waiting on this for a bit.
I mean, the question is preposterous. How can I...
You were waiting? Can you explain then, Asmon, why, what the rest of the world, like, what? Can you explain to the green, to the gray, I'm sorry, part of this map, why these two presidents are speaking about this?
Smuggle a terrorist into the United States. I don't know.
Yeah, she's asking him to, yes.
And how, can somebody explain to me how a word terrorist is related to a criminal? Is he criminal, or is he terrorist, or is he both?
Smuggling a terrorist? What the fuck?
The power to return him to the United States.
So you can release him inside El Salvador.
Yeah, but I'm not releasing... I mean, we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country. I mean, we just turned...
They're asking him... Wait. They're asking him, are you gonna... Dude.
It's obviously...
Oh my God.
Obviously the press
Trump's already loves it.
Obviously the press is asking beautiful, related and the adequate questions to the discussion. And the question has the possibilities to, like, now the president can say, yeah, sure, release him.
Oh God. He's like, see, you fucking idiot. Look at his face.
The murder capital of the world into the safest country of the Western Hemisphere, and you want us to go back into the releasing criminals so we can go back to being the murder capital of the world? No, that's not going to happen.
Well, they'd love to have a criminal, released into.
I mean, there's a fascination.
They would love it.
Yeah,
they're sick. These are sick people. Marco, do you have something to say?
Bro,
yeah, I mean, Steve.
Bro, these are sick people, and he's speaking about the press, you know.
I don't understand what the confusion is. This individual is a citizen of El Salvador. He was illegally in the United States and was returned to his country. That's where you deport people, back to their country of origin. Except for Venezuela, that wasn't refusing to take people back, places like that. I can tell you this, Mr. President. No, the foreign policy of the United States is conducted by the President of the United States, not by a court. And no court in the United States has a right to conduct the foreign policy of the United States. It's that simple. End of story.
And that's what the Supreme Court held, by the way, to Marco's point. The Supreme Court said exactly what Marco said, that no court has the authority to compel the foreign policy function of the United States. We want to...
Well, there it is. It looks like there's a lot, like, bro, there's going to be a lot of people going to El Salvador soon. Yep, the Karen world order is crumbling before our eyes. I want you guys to understand that. This is the beginning of the end for the Karen industrial complex. I love to see it. It's absolutely beautiful, isn't it? I love it.
Case 9-0, and people like CNN are portraying it as a loss, as usual, because they want foreign terrorists in the country who kidnap women and children. But President Trump, his policy is foreign terrorists that are here illegally get expelled from the country, which, by the way, is a 90-10 issue.
Well, Mr. President, you
Everybody agrees on this. This is just, it's such a ridiculous thing to say. Yeah, it's really, do Democrats really want to die on this hill? Yeah, I guess so. It's really sad, man. It is.
said that if the Supreme Court said someone needed to be returned, that you would abide by that. You said that on Air Force One just a few days ago. And they said that it must be facilitated.
Why don't you just say, Isn't it wonderful that we're keeping criminals out of our country? Why can't you just say that?
What's illegal?
Why do you go over and over? And that's why nobody watches you anymore. You know, you have no.
Okay.
Credibility. Please go ahead.
President Trump.
Oh God, I fucking love this, man.
There is no God which is involved here. Only humans, Asmongold. There is no God. Do you see any gods here? Where are they?
This is
what?
Bro.
Yeah.
They need to do these more. Just absolutely complete Karen eradication. This is amazing.
Thank you so much. How many illegal criminals are you planning on exporting
as many as we
to
can.
El Salvador? And President Bukele, how many are you willing to take from the U.S.?
As many as possible.
Yes!
And I just asked the president, it's this massive complex that he built, jail complex.
Super jail.
I said, can you build some more of them, please? As many as we can get out of our
All
country
right.
that were allowed in here by incompetent Joe Biden through open borders.
They deported the guy by mistake. They admitted it. The dude's an illegal, but he should not be in prison. Well, yeah, he should. So, like, I don't understand the logic. If he's a citizen of El Salvador, then shouldn't El Salvador be the ones that make the decision? Like, so I mean, because you obviously don't think that the court should decide what El Salvador does with its own citizens, right? I mean, you don't think that. So, like, because we've got the main guy from El Salvador right here. And so, like, I feel like we could just kind of get to the bottom of this real quick. We already have. But, like, so how's this a problem? So, if he's a citizen there and they put him in jail, then what's going on with this? We'll give him a minute. El Salvador didn't make the decision. Trump deported them to a prison because the U.S. thought he was a criminal, but he wasn't, was he? Well, 2 courts decided that he was a criminal, and by his existence inside of the country, that classifies him as also a criminal. So, yes, he was in fact a criminal in multiple regards, but even besides that, El Salvador didn't make the decision. What do you mean they didn't make the decision? You realize Trump and this guy got together and they worked out the plan to figure out who's going to be there, right?
I don't even try to imagine what would be the decision chain here. Is somebody trying to imagine? I don't.
Like, it's not like they just, airdropped him like Fortnite inside of the CCOT prison, and Trump was like, "Cut! I got you. All right, I gotta go." Like, El Salvador clearly made the decision because it's their citizen, number 1, and it's their jail, number 2. How do you think El Salvador didn't make the decision? Violating the court's previous rulings? The court's previous rulings are not relevant when El Salvador is making a decision with a citizen from El Salvador. The court's ruling does not apply to the way El Salvador chooses to treat one of its citizens. They're not accountable to the United States Supreme Court. That's not how it works. Like, what are you talking about? Like, this is insane. Then, no, but like, Trump, they decided to put him into jail. Like, what are you talking about? Do these people really think that we have the ability to make a country do what it wants with its own people? Well, again, this is the problem, bro. Is the Supreme Court wrong then? No, it's not wrong or right. It just simply doesn't apply. It doesn't apply because it's not their decision to make. It's the decision of El Salvador to make. So do you think that the Supreme Court should be able to tell El Salvador what they can do with their own citizens? Do you think that the United States Supreme Court should be able to tell El Salvador? Because like he's in that country, right? So it's their decision. I'll be right back. Let's see what he's going to say. Nothing. Okay, let's move on. The president violated the rulings of the courts transporting him to El Salvador. Trump violated court rulings with his action. Painting this as in El Salvador or doing anything illegal is just propaganda. This is clearly about Trump's actions. Trump's actions are not relevant in this because he's in El Salvador. So if El Salvador chooses to keep him in prison, that's their own prerogative because it's their citizen. It's that simple. He transported them? Yeah, so are you saying that, let me get this straight, we shouldn't transport people that illegally immigrate here back to their country of origin? What are you talking about? This is just so stupid. Like, everything about this is stupid. It's unbelievable. Like, if you find yourself on the other side of this issue, you have left reality. You have completely departed from the realm of the sane. It's emotional manipulation? Yes, it's not even a question.
Open borders. You probably hear open borders and you can't even understand it because nobody can understand it. Nobody smart or with common sense can understand it. So we have millions of people that should not be in this country that are dangerous.
Get them out.
People.
We have millions of people that should not be in this country. And they are dangerous. And now one starts to imagine like millions of people, like and then the same one starts to imagine millions of dangerous people. And there are different kind of dangers. And now one can start to imagine. Imagine 10 categories of dangerousness. And now, for the sake of the example, imagine hundreds to hundreds of thousands of people in each category. Are you scared? I am. Yet again, if this is true, if not, this is still a problem, the statement, in my opinion.
Because we have people, but we have millions of people that are murderers, drug dealers. They've been allowed to come into our country.
Millions of people which are murderers and drug dealers. This is millions. Let's say 2 million. America, how much? 250 million. So every 100 guys is a drug dealer or murderer. how much? 300 million? One of 100? One of 150 guys? Imagine a world where one of 150 guys is a murderer. Or a drug dealer.
Country by other countries that were very smart when they heard that this very low IQ president, and by the way, I took my cognitive exam as part of my physical exam.
Here we go.
And I got the highest mark, and one of the doctors said, "Sir, I've never seen anybody get that kind of, that was the highest mark." I hope you're happy with that, although they haven't been bugging me too much to take a cognitive, but I did do my physical and it was released. I hope you're all happy with it. I notice there's no question, so probably you are. But the cognitive, they said to me, "Sir, would you like to take a cognitive test?" I said, "Did Biden take one?" No.
Oh, God.
Did
Biden didn't take a cognitive test? That's crazy. I wonder why.
anybody take one? No, not too many people took them. I said, what about Obama? Did he take one? No, he didn't take one.
Obama's
either. I
smart.
said, let me be the only one to take one. But I've actually taken them 3 times already. I like taking them because they're not too tough for me to take. But we had a great physical exam, so I knew you were going to ask that. And the doctors who are total professionals, Walter Reed Medical Center, they're great people. And I visited a soldier that was badly wounded, incredible soldier, lost his leg, and spent a lot of time with him. I mean, great with his mother, and it was really a very great thing. They do a phenomenal job. I just want to say, Walter Reed, I was there for, 5-6 hours. You were there with me. But I took a full physical, and it came out perfecto, so that's good. That means you've got me for a little longer.
Would you also be willing to pay for those facilities to be opened if new ones were going to be built?
I'd do something. We'd help them out, yeah.
So we're going to build new prisons in El Salvador. We need to send some of our problem boys over there.
Bro, there are millions of people. Imagine how many prisons you built.
Or 2, maybe. Like, I think that's illegal, so we won't be able to. But, you know, in a best-case scenario world.
They're great facilities,
Yeah.
very strong facilities, and they don't play games.
Gitmo, too? Yeah.
I'd like to go a step further. I mean, I said it to Pam. I don't know what the laws are. We always have to obey the laws, but we also have homegrown criminals that push people into subways, that hit elderly ladies on the back of the head with a baseball bat when they're not looking, that are absolute monsters. I'd like to include them in the group of people to get them out of the country, but
too
you have to
bad.
be looking at the laws on that, Steve, okay?
Yep.
And do you think more presidents should follow suit like you guys as far as taking a hard stance on crime here in the United States?
Well, I do. I think everybody has to. I mean, the president
Thank
said
God.
it better than anybody. He said, you know, you have liberty and you have to have liberty, but to have liberty, not everybody is going to be.
Deporting U.S. citizens to school, you say? Yeah, honestly, I really don't give a fuck, to be totally real with you. Like, if somebody is violent and they're like a prison to life person and they've been defined to be that, like, I don't give a fuck if they get sent over to El Salvador at all. They should be lucky they're alive. I mean, like, we could use them for medical testing. We could torture them. We're not doing any of those things. Like, they should be lucky. We could do way worse. Tons of ways that we could do worse. Getting sent to El Salvador is like a 7 out of 10. You can be way more creative with that. So no, like, I don't care. Absolutely not. You don't care about...
What do you mean we could be more creative, Asmo? What the hell that means? Like more negatively creative? So, deporting criminals is like a business, I guess. this is a business meeting, business conversation. What it means, do somebody care or not? For a person that needs to, there was some court that decided he needs to go to the jail. What does it matter in which jail? It's a jail. It's a restricted place with metal bars, and then you cannot exit. Yeah, I guess it matters for visitors and other stuff, but generally it doesn't matter where physically they are. I mean, it doesn't matter for the prisoner, let's say. He's imprisoned. He cannot go out. So it doesn't matter what is out. So it's a business. And interestingly, with the millions of, I don't know, objects, millions of objects do this business.
My Constitution, this is in America, is called something else? What do you think they did this? Do you really think they would give a shit about this? Absolutely not. And also, by the way, can't you just make another rule? Like, I'm fine with that. We've changed the Constitution tons of times. I'm totally fine with it. Absolutely.
Good.
And by the way, I think most people would be. This is a fake majority thing. Most people are not going to be going around advocating for the best interests of serial killers, murderers, and rapists. This is a super majority perspective.
And
anyway.
you know, some are bad because they're sick. They're mentally deranged.
Yeah.
They're bad.
Why do you
Then
think
you have to take them. If you're going to have a country, you're going to have to take those people out.
Good, right?
And,
That's right.
We've been doing that, but this was like an unforced error, they would call it, where we had people that may hate our country, or maybe they're just stupid people. I think they're probably stupid people more so. A lot of people said they did it for the vote, but I did better with Hispanic people than they did, because they always use Hispanic. I did better.
Because they treat all Hispanic people like they're illegals, and they say immigrant whenever they mean illegal immigrant, which paints legal immigrants and people that live in this country as citizens, as criminals. It puts them in the same bucket as them. So yes, obviously a lot of Hispanic and Latino Americans because are pro-Trump, of course, because Trump is advocating in their best interest.
You people love me.
I mean, what is the argument against this? Some sort of like racial solidarity? I don't think that's a very good argument.
So my poll numbers in your country are through the roof, right? 91%. Some people think they do it for the vote. But they don't have to do it for the vote. They cheat, you know, they're professional cheaters. That's about the only thing they do well. So we just have had a great relationship, and it's become bigger because of a strange thing that happened. You know, I came back, we had no war in Ukraine, we had no war we had no October 7th Middle East problem, we had nothing, we had no inflation. We didn't have the Afghanistan, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, the Afghanistan, not withdrawing, because I would have been out, you know, I had it all set to bring people out with dignity and pride. That was the worst, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, Afghanistan. We didn't have any of that. You wouldn't have had the war with.
One more thing, let's make a counter, and I don't know. The most embarrassing, Afghanistan is the most embarrassing. If it's true, it's a problem. If it's not true, it's a problem again. We need to make a counter. And to just increment it, yeah.
With Russia, Ukraine, you wouldn't have had the Middle East problem because Iran was broke, they had no money. because we had secondary sanctions on and lots of other sanctions. And now every single thing, got a problem with Iran, but I'll solve that problem. That's almost an easy one. We got to solve a war that should have never started, Ukraine and Russia, and we'll get that solved.
Oh boy!
And we have to solve problems, and we already solved.
If Trump was the president, Concord would have never come out.
Inflation.
Everybody
you look
knows
at the numbers.
that.
The numbers are incredible, actually. The stock market's up, and we're not letting other countries take advantage of this country like they have for the last 40 years. So thank you very much. You have a question?
Other countries to take advantage of this country. Okay, let's go to the map. Think of okay, do the gray wants to go in the red, or the red wants to go to the gray? Because if somebody is taking advantage of something, you don't want to be in his boots, yeah? Or at least in my understanding. So, if so many countries are taking advantage, United States, which are these countries? I cannot imagine. Which one? China? Maybe? Taking advantage. Okay, let's not go deep into the taking advantage definition, but the last 40 years. I'm 40 years old. And since I have memories, the red country citizens are living with a better buying power and better possibilities than me. I'm not a hater. That's simply the truth. So I don't understand what President Trump just said. And which are these countries? Which country has the greatest buying power at the moment in the world? Which? So I don't understand it. I'm 40 years old, and the president said that last 40 years, multiple countries taking advantage of United States of America. Which are they, and how they take advantage? Oh, that's interesting, because it was pronounced as a fact, and it might be a fact. but there was no arguments. This was just pronounced. And in my understanding, in my memories, in the past 20, 30 years, let's say I have memories from 10 years old, I don't understand. Either my memories are wrong, or there is something wrong here. And either way, I think it's a problem. So if it's true, it's a problem. If it's not, it's again, unfortunately, a problem. It's yet another statement.
Yes, Mr. President, thank you so much. You scored another major investment win this morning when NVIDIA pledged to build its AI supercomputer, the first time ever, right here in the United States.
Thank you. That's a question I like. That's true.
What is your reaction?
It's pretty obvious that Trump met with the guys. Like, I think that Trump had dinner with Jensen from NVIDIA recently. And I think it's pretty obvious that he probably got these guys to build in America in exchange for like certain tariff like kind of softening. That's what seems like kind of happened. And and honestly, like, that's a good idea, right? I mean, that's probably a good idea. But yeah, same with chip manufacturers. Yeah, exactly. I'm okay with that. Yeah, it seems like a good idea.
To this announcement, sir, and how will this positively benefit Americans across the entire country?
Well, it's one of the biggest announcements you'll ever hear, because NVIDIA, as you know, controls that almost the entire sector, which is one of the most important sectors in the world, between chips and semiconductors and everything else. And they're the biggest. And the other
people really can't get over this, because this is really people really losing their mind. I'm gonna pull this up just so you guys can read it, because they've just been in their feelings about this the whole time. Trump has openly defined the Supreme Court. You're seriously okay with this? So the Supreme Court said that he was right. Number one, it was a 9-0 action. Number one. Number two, the Supreme Court doesn't decide what El Salvador does with its citizens. Like, it's literally that simple. Like, it was a 9-0, yeah. It's just like, what are you even talking about? How do you even believe this? Like, where are you coming from? What is this?
Bro, let's move on. What is this? Again.
Yeah, I don't even understand what are you even thinking about? Why are so many people against deporting a known persecuted criminal of another country? So the reason why is because they've been scared by the media into thinking that after Trump deports all of the illegal alien gang member rapists, that then he's going to start deporting random people from the United States for doing nothing wrong. So the reason why people are afraid of it is because the media and people have painted a picture that this is the foundation he's going to build in order to deport and do this to average Americans. And so it's basically just scare tactics. There's just no response. It's a ridiculous thing to say. Brother in Christ, man, he's spewing misinfo. It was 9-0 against Trump. I'm talking about another one. Like, we literally are just talking about this. They're literally lying. It's not their decision to make. The Supreme Court does not have jurisdiction over what El Salvador does. This is El Salvador's decision about their own citizen. The United States Supreme Court is not relevant in that conversation.
Bro, just move on.
I don't understand how this is so hard to pick up on. The level of mental gymnastics that people are doing in order to justify keeping a criminal illegal alien in the country is insane. It is absolutely fucking insane. What are you talking about? How the fuck are these people so stupid to realize this? I think a lot of them are... So, number one, as I said, they're scared about it happening to average people. So, it's again from a place of not logic, but emotion. So, it shouldn't really be taken very seriously at a baseline. But on top of that, there's also a degree of people that just don't like Donald Trump, and so anything that he does is automatically wrong. That's another thing. They're brainwashed. Yeah, exactly. They're brainwashed. These people would never want this person being anywhere near them, but they're going to fight constantly for us to bring an illegal alien back to the country that they're not even supposed to be at? What the fuck? How does that make any fucking sense?
Biggest we already have coming in is spending $300 billion, as you know. They announced 2 weeks ago. But NVIDIA is so highly respected. And this was an announcement that a lot of people...
NVIDIA is so highly respected. Okay. He's highly respected. But lately, I was watching a very big tech YouTubers, content creators, criticizing very heavily this company, NVIDIA. I don't know, it's really respected maybe in a perspective that I don't understand at the moment, because as I see, its, let's say, rating, it's falling down, at least a little bit in the past months.
I knew it was going to happen, but not to the extent that it happened. It's big.
Yeah.
And the reason they did it is because of the election on November 5th and because of a thing called tariffs. As I say, the most beautiful word in the dictionary. After love, God,
here we go.
The press actually hit me and said,
that's the joke.
Tariff is the most,
most
beautiful word in the dictionary. What about family, love, God? I got hit even on that. Do you understand?
Oh, this is the new 7, like, God's, whatever, laws. And never mind.
I said, okay. So now I say it's my 5th most favorite word, because they get you on anything. But no, that NVIDIA, it's one of the great companies of the world, modern, super modern companies, controls segments that nobody, sort of controls the world in a sense, and they're coming in here in the biggest way with hundreds of billions.
Control the world in a sense. Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Billions of dollars, not like millions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars, and I'm honored by it.
It's a lot of money.
And I want to thank Jensen and all of the people that we deal with.
See, I fucking told you. Yep, there it is. I exactly. He had dinner with him. He was like, "Can you please lower the tariffs? We'll build the..." Exactly. 100% what fucking happened.
Great people, they're brilliant people. And
pre-watch?
Without tariffs,
it's obvious. You don't need to pre-watch. It's common sense. Of course.
Are you considering additional sanctions against Russia after their latest attack? And do you have an update on the rate and when you might announce semiconductor
Well, I already
tariffs?
have sanctions on Russia.
Yeah, there's
I
been
put 'em
sanctions
there.
on for years.
If you remember, Nord Stream 2, that's the big pipeline that goes through Europe.
Do somebody know in this printed tariffs thing, is there any Russia there? Do we know, like, when president is holding this like this, then is there any Russia? How much is the percentage for Russia?
I stopped it. That's Russia's pipeline, the largest pipeline, I think, in the world, goes to Germany. And I stopped it. And when Biden came in, he approved it. And then they say, oh, I'm friendly with Russia. No. Putin said, you know, if you're my friend, I'd hate to see you when you're my enemy. I stopped the biggest economic job they ever had. I stopped it cold, right? It was dead. You know that, right? And Biden came in and he immediately approved it. What was that all about? And it's a pipeline that takes care of a lot of the needs. Now, you know, it was a very controversial thing, but I stopped it, and Biden approved it. Question?
On tariffs,
No, not you. Not
Not you again, not you. No. What?
today on potential semiconductor tariffs and potentially pharmaceuticals.
What the fuck?
Semiconductor tariffs and potentially pharmaceuticals. Any update on
Pharmaceuticals,
that?
we're going to do. We don't make our own drugs, our own pharmaceuticals. We don't make our own drugs anymore. The drug companies are in Ireland and they're in lots of other places, China. And all I have to do is impose a tariff. The more, the faster they move in. The higher the tariff, it's very simple. It's
Every time,
inversely
bro.
proportional. The higher the tariff, the faster they come.
Every time.
And yeah, we're going to be doing that. That's going to be like we have on cars. We have, as you know, 25.
Do we believe it's like this? Do we all believe that it's like this?
Percent tariff on cars. We have a 25% tariff on steel and aluminum, and that's what that category fits right now.
Do you have a percentage in mind and a timeline?
I have a timeline, yeah, not too distant future. We're doing it because we want to make our own drugs. We're doing it because we want to make our own steel and aluminum, lumber, other things. And they're all coming in. We have record numbers, $7 trillion. Since I announced, like a month and a half ago, since I came in, we have over $7 trillion being invested in the country. We didn't have.
I wonder what that means. $7 trillion. So it's a billion is with 9 zeros, so trillion is with how much? 12 zeros? Yeah, I think it's 12 zeros. So 7 with 12 zeros. 7. Then 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Is that correct? Invested. What means invested? I don't know. What means invested?
$1 trillion. We didn't have a $500 billion for some of these guys. They didn't know what the hell they were doing. So we have the largest investment that we've ever heard of, and we're only 2 months in. And that'll continue at levels that you've never seen before. That's what's going to happen. And
that will continue with the levels you've not seen ever before. So we need to know what means invested. Like, all we need to know, or no? What? I cannot even try to imagine 7 billion. What? He's speaking of. Okay.
And even the stock market.
I give up. I give up trying to understand this because They're just statements.
It's up today. It's.
Let me
we
see.
also had, you know, a lot of people didn't say it the way it was. We had the largest gain in the stock market in history on every single category last week. That was a nice game.
It's still lower than it was.
People didn't understand.
But it's gone up a bit.
Asmon, bro. Are you joking? It's still lower than it was. Okay. It's still lower than it was.
The power of our economic, our country economically.
Yeah, it's still net down.
Right. Do you have something to say on that, JD?
Oh.
Yes, sir. I mean, look, for 40 years we have lost
we go.
manufacturing capacity. Workers have seen their wages stagnate. And some of the most critical things that we need, from the pharmaceuticals, the drugs that we give to our children, the antibiotics that we give to our kids, to the weapons that we actually need to fight a war if, God forbid, we had to.
Bro, how it's possible in one sentence all these categories to be put in one sentence? I don't understand it. How it's possible drugs that we give, antibiotics that we give to our kids to be in one sentence with weapons? What the... Let's just hear the sentence, I guess, but...
To fight a war, we don't make enough of that stuff. And so
we don't make enough of this stuff. I guess there is stuff that you don't even make. Not it's like enough, but you don't even do like 0.5% what you consume, I guess. So you don't make enough weapons. Okay. And in one sentence, we don't make enough drugs for the kids and weapons. Antibiotics for the kids and weapons. And this is in one sentence. Who sees the problem here yet again? Do we see a problem that in one sentence this is...
President Trump ran explicitly on changing that. Yes, as the president mentioned, it caused a little bit of disruption in the market, but I actually think over the long term,
a little bit of disruption in the market. Okay. If that's a little bit of disruption, I'm sorry. I don't want to see the big one.
Workers are going to benefit, stocks are going to go up, American businesses are going to benefit as we reinvest and reindustrialize our country.
And the auto workers and the Teamsters and all of...
Reinvest and reindustrialize our country. So reinvest and reindustrialize are two separate things, if one can imagine. Reindustrialization, it should mean, in my pathetic understanding, building things. And investing, in my understanding, means spending money. So, I think I'm pretty sure there is already as President Trump said, 7 billion investment. There is pretty much of investment already going on there, no? So I guess the reindustrialization is what is missing. Or yeah, of course it needs investment for reindustrialization, but
The unions, not traditionally Republican, but I'm winning those unions by, we're up 40, 50 points on the Democrats. They're losing everything. They're losing everything because
Somebody says, bro, ain't nobody building a factory in the U.S. to hire dumbass, lazy American workers. They're going to put those Amazon robots in it. 0 jobs created. You say that like it's a bad thing. Yeah, that's the goal. Yeah, that's the big picture in my mind, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, he gets it.
they just have policies that are not believable. They fight for policies that are 5% popular.
Asmon, what do you mean that's the big picture? Are you suggesting that President Trump is foreseeing the future and is writing a roadmap for the US economics to use AI to replace humans in their jobs in factories? Are we there? And when we will be there? Like, I can imagine such a future, but I can imagine a period of at least a couple of years as a transition period to reach there. What will be happening in this couple of years? The other question is, what about the rest of the world? What they will do? They will not sleep. They're not sleeping. They will not go to bed just like this. If USA is doing this, the rest of the world will do also this. So what's the big idea? For sure, it's not like every country to produce every piece of thing that it's needed for everyday life in it, just because AI can replace humans. It's a little bit worry. I don't think that's the big plan. I don't really think. Yes.
And nobody knows who the 5%
it's not five, probably less than
nobody
that.
can find the 5%. But if you go back to Ohio, and by the way, we have the great championship team from Ohio coming in today, right?
Very big day.
And that's going to be a little bit later. And that'll be, if you want to stick around, I'll introduce you to some you'll see some very large people, right? You'll see some people that even you have not seen people like this. These are 6'7", 380 pounds with no fat. Okay, that's pretty good.
That's a big boy.
But the national championship team is being honored today at the White House, so that'll be exciting if you're around.
All right.
You want to stay around? I'll have you up there. You can tell them all about your prison, how you have to behave.
No fat, that's right. You hear that?
Okay.
How
Who else?
temporary are those exemptions on electronics?
Yeah, you said yesterday.
I didn't go to why Asmon is laughing, but
Oh, God. This is so good. He just looks around. He's like, is anybody else asking a question? Oh, fuck. That's how you treat him? He's correct? I hate that. I hate them, man. I do. I think that they're the worst.
Okay. Who else?
temporary are those exemptions on electronics?
Yeah, you said yesterday that you're making a decision on Iran very quickly. What do you mean by that? Is that a decision to strike Iran?
Solve their problem very quickly. Iran wants to deal with us, but they don't know how. They really don't know how.
That sounds like a China. They, no?
We had a meeting with them on Saturday. We have another meeting scheduled next Saturday. I said, that's a long time.
Uh-oh.
You know, that's a long time. So I think they might be tapping us along. But
meetings on Saturday with Iran. Okay. That's a nice one.
Iran has to get rid of the concept of a nuclear weapon. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. He can't have a nuclear weapon.
They should get rid of the concept of a nuclear weapon. So they shall forget how to, I understand this in the following way. They shall forget the way the nuclear weapon is built. That's the concept. How to make nuclear weapons. I don't think a human on earth or a government, whatever, can forget technology like this. If you know how to build nuclear weapons, I think you never forget. So it's impossible. So what President Trump is saying, it's impossible. It's like not. Even if somebody is saying we burn the documents and we burn the hard disks where it's written how to make nuclear weapons, guess what? That's just not possible. Once you build a nuclear weapon, you can build it again. And that's just the thing, you know. The only thing you can achieve is an agreement to not use it. That's it. This is in my simple understanding. I don't know. Maybe you can kill all the people that knows how to build bombs. But how is that going to? You know, that can be a target, but that's not going to happen. You don't even know where the information is spread. In these days, in our days, you don't even classified information can be spread. You don't even know. Classified information is just information with consequences. It's not unspreadable. And maybe that's why we're trying to make so much AI protections and stuff. So the information to not leak into the LLM to make bombs, you know. That's the scary part. There is no detector that can detect you dressed with quotes, exiting your workplace. Did you take some piece of information from there? There is no such technology. This can be a nuclear factory in Russia or in America or in Iran. And there are workers there. There's manpower there. So this is impossible, what the President Trump says.
Nobody can have, we can't have anybody having nuclear weapons, you know? We can't have nuclear weapons.
We can't have anybody have nuclear weapons. That's also impossible. Knowing how to make nuclear weapons, in my understanding, means that you have. And having such means you can hide them. So having such in a land where you control things, I mean you as a government, Iran for example, means that they can hide the nuclear weapons, you know? And nuclear weapons that can devastate half of Europe, for example, or half of United States, or 20% of it. And guess what? You can have an agreement, as there is, to not use them, but you cannot have a consensus that nobody has nuclear weapons. There cannot be such consensus. Is there a single person on Earth which knows where are all the nuclear weapons at this moment? A single one? No? There is no. So how this would be evaluated? True or false? There is no nuclear weapons.
And I think they're tapping us along because they were so used to dealing with stupid people in this country.
Like who?
And I had Iran perfect. You had no attacks. You would have never had October 7th.
Oh, yeah.
In Israel, the attack by Hamas.
Oh, yeah.
Because Iran was broke. They were stone cold broke when I was president. And I don't want to do it. I want them to be a rich, great nation. The only thing is, one thing, simple. It's really simple. They can't have a nuclear weapon. And they got to go fast. Because they're fairly close to having one. And they're not going to have one. And if we have to do something very harsh, we'll do it. And I'm not doing it for us. I'm doing it for the world. And these are radicalized people.
What do you think the probability is that Trump bombs Iran if they tell him no?
We reach the question, and that's the question. I don't know. This question, for sure it's a question, but should we even discuss this? Like, Asmon, please, what? Why we discuss?
I mean, everybody knows it's 100%, right? Like, it's going to happen.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding, bro? Yet again another war? Yet again another money spending? Oh, really? For a thing which is impossible? Really? It's impossible.
And they cannot have a nuclear weapon.
Does that include a potential strike on Iranian nuclear facilities?
Yeah, of course.
Of course it does.
Duh.
Just a follow-up question.
What the fuck did you think? Yeah, he gonna blow it up. Like, fucking obviously. What did you think was gonna happen?
You mentioned that you're open to deporting individuals that aren't foreign aliens but are criminals to El Salvador.
Yeah.
Does that include potentially U.S. citizens, fully naturalized Americans?
If they're criminals and if they hit people with baseball bats over their head that happen to be 90 years old, and if they rape 87-year-old women in Coney Island, Brooklyn, yeah, that includes them. What, do you think there's a special category of person? They're as bad as anybody that comes in. We have bad ones too. And I'm all for it. Because we can do things with the president for less money and have great security. And we have a huge prison population. We have a huge number of prisons, and then we have the private prisons, and some are operated well, I guess, and some aren't. But he does a great job with that. We have others that we're negotiating with too. But no, if it's a homegrown criminal, I have no problem. Now, we're studying the laws right now. Pam is studying. If we can do that, that's good. And I'm talking about violent people. I'm talking about really bad people. Really bad people.
It's like if you download one song from Metallica, you're getting sent to El Salvador. And you get your head shaved.
Every bit as bad as the ones coming in.
That's right.
And I made the statement when I heard about this a long time ago now.
You downloaded a car.
When I heard
they told
that
you
this
not
guy
to.
was having open borders, I said every single criminal from all over the world is going to be dumped into our country. And that's what happened. The jails of the Congo were emptied out. The jails of Venezuela were emptied out. And you know what happened? Their crime went way down. But now Venezuela has other problems. You know what the problem is? They have no money. Yeah. Because I shut off their oil. And
How we doing? How we doing? Good? Okay, yeah, I don't know what that was. This is some bullshit.
The problem is they have no money. Yeah. Because I shut off their oil.
Oop.
And we put secondary tariffs because they're not doing what's right over there. They know what to do. We spoke to them. I spoke to them. They know what to do. But they have no money. Venezuela has no money. But Iran had no money. And Iran behaved so beautifully. And then Biden took all those secondary tariffs on. I told China, you can't buy oil. If you buy oil from Iran, China, I told it to President Xi, then we no longer want you to do business with the United States of America. And those ships disappeared from that harbor so quickly. China. Get along great with China.
Are the talks with Iran productive? Do you want to continue that?
What?
The talks with Iran, do you believe those are productive? Do you want to continue that?
I think Iran could be a great country as long as it doesn't have nuclear weapons. If they have nuclear weapons, they'll never get a chance to be a great country. They will never get a chance. It won't even come to us.
Sir,
why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, yesterday you mentioned short-lived product exemptions. Which specific products are you considering, and how long is short-lived? Weeks, months?
I'm looking at something to help some of the car companies where they're switching to parts that were made in Canada, Mexico, and other places, and they need a little bit of time because they're going to make them here, but they need a little bit of time. So I'm talking about things like that.
What about any Apple products, other cell phones?
Look, I'm a very flexible person. I don't change my mind, but I'm flexible. And you have.
Okay. All right.
Have to be. You just can't have a wall and you'll only go. No, sometimes you have to go around it, under it, or above it.
Unless it's
there'll be maybe things coming up.
Then you
I
don't.
Speak to Tim Cook. I helped Tim Cook recently, and that whole business. I don't want to hurt anybody, but the end result is we're going to get to the position of greatness for our country. We're the greatest economic power in the world if we're smart. If we're not smart, we're going to hurt our country very badly. We lost with China over the Biden years trillions of dollars on trade, trillions of dollars. And he let them fleece us, and we can't do that anymore. And you know what? I don't blame China at all. I don't blame President Xi. I like him. He likes me.
You got to respect the player.
Who knows? Who the hell cares?
Do you have any updates on
But you know
what?
Anymore. And you know what? I don't blame China at all. I don't blame President Xi. I like him. He likes me. I mean, you know, who knows? Who the hell cares?
What? Don't laugh, Asmongold.
Oh, God.
Yes.
Jesus.
Any updates on?
But you know what?
12 more years of this, yep.
Do you have any updates with talks with China?
No, let me just tell you this. I don't blame China. I don't blame Vietnam. I see their meeting today. Is that wonderful? That's a lovely meeting. They're meeting like trying to figure out how do we screw the United States of America. Don't forget, the European Union was formed to do just that. The European Union was formed to hurt the United States.
European Union was formed to hurt the United States.
Trying to figure out how do we screw the United States of America. Don't forget, the European Union was formed to do just that. The European Union was formed to hurt the United States and on trade. And they get us on NATO because they don't pay their bills. But now, since I got involved, they have been paying their bills. I took in over $600 billion for NATO. Nobody took in anything. I mean, they were all delinquent. They had 8 nations out of 28 paid their bills. The rest of them were way delinquent. And I said, if you don't pay your bills, we're not going to protect you anymore. And the money poured in over 600.
What a surprise.
The Secretary General last week made that statement. He said, I've never seen anything like it. We couldn't get anybody to pay.
How could that have happened?
Because the United States was footing the bill for NATO. Well, we got hurt there, and we got hurt on trade, likewise, European Union. And they've got to come to the table. And they're trying to. They're trying to. But the European Union has taken terrible advantage. They don't take our food products.
Nope.
They don't take our cars.
Nope.
We have millions of their cars, BMW, Volkswagen, Mercedes-Benz, many others.
I have that one.
They come in by the millions.
Yeah.
They don't take. There are no Chevrolets in Munich. I can tell you that. I said to Angela Merkel when she was there, as she was letting millions of people infiltrate Germany, which was not so good from, we would call them illegal immigrants, but she made them legal. But I said to her, and I get along with her very well, I said, how many Chevrolets do we have in Munich or Frankfurt? Why, none, Donald, none. I said, you're right. Why, none, Donald, none.
Oh my God. Oh.
How did this happen? This is crazy. How the fuck did this happen?
I said, you're right. And yet we take in millions and millions of cars. No.
Oh, God.
Those days are over. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, President.
Yeah, the Germans now will start to buy Chevrolet, guys. It's happening. Dear German viewers of this video, just go and introduce yourself to the Chevrolet.
Mr. President, do you have any comment on the FTC's case against Meta and Mark Zuckerberg?
Thank you, Press.
Thank you, Naive.
Yeah, I don't know what she was talking. Nobody cares. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Bro, the shit where they tried to start it off and he just says, no, your food is ass and your cars don't fit the EU's tax regulations. I'm not sure, right? I mean, I don't think that cars are the end all and be all. I'm not sure about the details on that. I mean, I wouldn't, what do you call it? I wouldn't go and say like, yeah, that's true for sure or not. J.D. Vance did a big oopsie. I didn't see that. Yeah, what do you mean? What do you mean he did a big oopsie? I think he's been fine. Yeah, and go fuck yourself. Yeah, he chilling, man. Flashbang, I know, is bright as fuck. So yeah, anyway, damn, like this was fucking funny. This was fucking cinema. I'm very happy about this. Obviously, I'm a big fan of the super jail El Salvador pipeline for illegal aliens. Massive fan of it. Huge supporter. I think the guy Bukele does a great job. And I hope we send more people over there, you know, again, you know, as many as possible. Absolutely. And so, yeah, that's it. No, I'm very, very, very happy about this. And Vance dropped the trophy. Yeah, I guess so, but I'll look at it. And, yeah, big dick rider. I mean, not really a dick rider. I mean, really, you have to be a dick rider for this? I think it's common fucking sense. Why the hell you want to keep these people here? Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's true at all. Yeah, I mean, the thing is that, like, I've been critical. I was critical about Trump relaxing the tariffs on China. I was critical about Trump with what.
Okay, can I ask a question here? It's nearly the end of this video, but isn't it the same work jobs and industrialization and investigation? I don't understand. You outsource your the handling the criminals to El Salvador, you know. In the same time, you do tariffs to reindustrialize, reinvest in America. Why you don't just build the prisons and make jobs? Because obviously somebody needs to pay for handling these prisoners, you know, for the prisons themselves. It's like, it's a bit of a nonsense. I cannot get it. Actually, maybe it's not a nonsense, but I cannot get it. Because it's a business. As I said, what does it matter where they will be? They're not allowed to get out. So it doesn't matter where they are. But it matters who will serve their food, who will make their food, yes? It matters who will guard them. In this case, El Salvador will guard them. They will make their food, yeah? They will make the prisons. Everything. And it's always like money. Let's just finish the video. I don't know. I'll never get it.
What he said about Ukraine, even today. So, like, I think that you're just mad that you're hearing something that you disagree with. That's really what's going on. And I get it, right? You don't want to hear things that make you mad. But at the end of the day, sometimes that just has to happen. Right? What about U.S. citizens being deported? I don't know. If it's legal, I'd be like, okay, so you're asking me, like, all right, legally, can you do it? I don't know. But ethically and morally, do I have a problem with U.S. citizens getting deported to El Salvador if they're very problematic? No. No, not really. You mean illegals who went home? Well, I'm talking about, like, if somebody's a U.S. citizen, right? And that's it. Nothing in the law says they have to be jailed in the U.S. Well, I don't know. It's a slippery slope. Good. Then maybe that'll help people that are thinking about committing crime and causing problems. Maybe that'll help them think twice about it, and maybe they won't do it as much. If they're that worried about a slippery slope and they're that afraid that something crazy might happen, then maybe it's good that you have a little bit of a deterrence. And I think that's what would happen. And so that's actually fucking crazy. Everybody thinks it's crazy, but you know who didn't think it was crazy? He didn't think it was crazy, and it worked. So that's what's really crazy. That's what's funny to me about this, is that all of it worked no problem. So how is it that you could just go in there and just put the people in jail? Not everyone? Oh, you're right. Not everyone. There's not everybody that's going to think anything. So that's it. The tariffs haven't been changed at all in China. The report made it seem like they were changed when there was the same since Liberation Day. I'd have to go back and double check. I think that there was one change, but there could be something else. I don't want to argue about it right now because it's like something else that's kind of like beside the point, right? But people don't realize their actions affect other people around them. They do. It's an easy answer. Don't be a fucking criminal. Yeah, exactly. Illegals don't have constitutional rights because they're illegal. I mean, I really don't give a fuck about them either way, right? I mean, and that's it. And so, yeah, Stalin and Mao didn't think it was crazy. You're right. And so, like, again, I understand that there are a lot of optical emotional blackmail arguments that are used like that in order to cow people into submission to, like, okay, well, I don't want to side with the bad guys optically. I don't care about that. I don't give a fuck about that. Wow, bad people did something bad in the past. Okay, well, now we can't do anything that's even close to that? That's retard logic. Yeah, exactly. I don't think like that. Yeah, that's just not how my brain works, man. And so, yeah, it's unlike he's in a position to say anything else. Even if the answer, you want me to smuggle him in, betrays that he wouldn't be able to return him if he wanted it to. Well, yeah, obviously he couldn't. The guy sent away also didn't commit a crime. He didn't do anything wrong. That is the issue. The guy that sent away didn't commit a crime. Well, are you talking about the guy that was found 2 times to be a... Well, actually, number one, if he's an illegal alien, then that...
Bro, if there is a guy... I don't get it. If there is a guy which did nothing wrong, I'm not informed. I don't know this guy, what they are speaking about. What is his fate and his crimes and whatever. But let's say there is a guy, he did nothing wrong. What would be the difference between US country treating the guy in the following 2 ways? 1, taking the guy and deporting it to El Salvador, and he will get imprisoned there. And 2, imprison the guy in USA. What would be the difference if there is a mistake of the US court decision to deport the guy or imprison it in USA? It will be a mistake of the court with kind of equal weight. So what? The thing which is different is who will be cooking the food for this guy, for the imprisonment life sentence, for example, of course. That's a job which costs money, yes? And who will guard him? Yeah, one will say that once you get them out, they cannot benefit from the American laws anymore. They cannot be mercified. Okay, but these things are so... I don't understand.
That is the crime, number one. And number two, if he's associated with a terrorist organization, then I think that's a problem. And so, like, and if 2 courts decide that this...
How you prove that somebody is associated with terrorists? You can... One can come and say, okay, you have SMS from a terrorist and you are associated. How you can prove such a status?
This guy is part of a terrorist organization, then I think it's a great...
That's an interesting topic. Who is trying to prove, except USA, these kind of relations? Which country? Because at least I'm not aware of it. because it's very gray area. I mean, it's not a proof of speaking with a guy which is bad. I mean, are you bad as well?
Great thing to get rid of him. Absolutely. And so anyway, it seems like the dude wasn't actually part of MS-13. He was married to a citizen. So wait a minute.
I can go to the subway and speak with a murderer. Yeah, am I a murderer too? Shall I go to prison? I can buy a fish from the market from a rapist. Am I a collaborator with the rapist? Collaborating with him? Doing business with him?
You think that the 2 immigration courts were wrong? Like, I'm just confused by this.
Oh, again, this topic.
And also, like, if he's married to a citizen, that somehow makes it okay? I don't understand this. He was an MS-13? Big mistake. Shouldn't have done that. Yeah, so we're against due process now? Well, that was the due process. So the due process is applied to him differently because he's not a citizen. He's part of a terrorist organization, and Trump did the Illegal Enemies Act. That's the reason why. So the due process changed because you're applying it to a different person. So an illegal alien doesn't receive the same due process that an American citizen does in every single way. They're not afforded the same opportunities in the Constitution as an American does. Like, for example, the right to vote. And so the whole premise of this is complete bullshit. Asmon's just repeating lies? No, it's not a lie. It's common sense. It's common sense. Anybody would know this. 2 courts equals no due process. Exactly. You can't reason with these people? Yes. Being married to a citizen grants you citizenship. I'm not sure whether it does or not. I thought it gives you a green card, but maybe it does give you citizenship. I don't remember exactly. And I think it gives you a green card for you to stay there indefinitely. That was my understanding. Marriage said by stupid logic, you can commit horrible acts and then marry in a different country and then it's all okay. Yeah. And this is the problem, is that, like, the fact that he married an American citizen, this is a more emotional reasoning. Yeah, you can do something wrong, but then if you get married in another country, it's okay. And like, oh, well, it happened 5 years ago, right? I mean, yeah, terrorist means you're fucked instantly. Yeah, I mean, there it is. And so it's just sad for me to see this happen with so many people. But I think that they'll realize the error of their ways. But the one thing that you have to keep in mind is that there's wrongfully convicted people all the time. I see a problem with U.S. citizens being deported to a foreign country. Innocent people will be wrongfully affected. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, it's going to happen. Yeah, I mean, sure. Like, yeah, you're going to have mistakes. I mean, that's the same with anything. Like, it is. And, like, that's fine? Yeah, of course. And that's the way it is with everything, right? We put people to death.
You can have mistakes. Yes, you can have mistakes, but every mistake has its chance of fixation. So, if the court makes a mistake, it can be fixed. Even the guy being in El Salvador,
that shouldn't be put to death, people in jail that shouldn't be in jail. If you want to use the argumentation that because somebody that is innocent can be negatively affected by this, then you can't have a rule, well, then we'd have no rules. So the problem, like, you can't use that logic, because that logic destroys everything. It destroys all laws. Every law, there are going to be basically wrong applications of that law. Like, this is just how it is with anything. So no, like, I think that a lot of people don't want to say what I'm saying because it doesn't sound good to say. But no, the reality is there is a acceptable rate of error. With anything that happens, there is an acceptable rate of error. And so if that rate of error is really high, then you need to look at why is it very high. But at the same time, to say that there's never errors ever, like, that doesn't, like, in everything, that's not how it works. What if I do your cribs? I just put on some background sound. No, it doesn't even sound bad. It's just wrong. Well, yeah, I mean, of course. And yeah, there are instances where people are treated more harshly, but the idea is violent offenders, especially ones that kill people, are the ones that'll be affected. Yeah, exactly. You're being too edgy, big dog. You don't want Americans being deported to foreign prisons? Not a lot of them, no. But, like, I mean, for the really bad ones, I don't think that's a big deal. No, like, not really. And like, I mean, I'm talking about, like, morally, right? Like, morally, what do I think about it? I just don't think it's a big deal. I don't. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you want me to tell you. Like, sorry. Anyway, such a weird group in chat today. Yeah, I mean, I think that, again, and this is another pretty big principle that I have, is that I think that a certain level, especially whenever you're dealing with violent criminals, is that a certain level of indifferent brutality is required. And so I have no problem embracing policies that apply that, because I think that that brutality is necessary in order to counteract the brutality of the people that are the bad actors. And so I understand that it's brutal and it hurts them and everything, but I think it serves as a deterrent for people to do it, and I think that's the reason why it's good. And so, yeah, that's the reason. And again, yeah, citizens are greater than criminals. Yeah, exactly. But good take. Yes, severance and emotion often uses laws. Yeah, exactly. Doesn't that turn El Salvador into a similar thing in Space Prison, Mass Effect 2? I never played it, so I don't know. But anyway, it's not a good tactic to say it's fine to deport U.S. citizens. It's going to scare more people. Well, I mean, you can talk about, like, somebody getting scared or afraid or upset or whatever. That's fine. But I don't really care about that. Like, I'm just, like, you asked me what my opinion is. I'm giving you what my opinion is. Now, you might think that this is a wrong opinion. Trust me, this is, if you think this is a bad opinion, you should see some of the other things I think, okay? Like, there are plenty worse than that. So, and again, like, listen, my moral compass does not point north, okay? The way I see things is not the way other people see things. So if you think that the way that I'm looking at this is wrong or evil or bad, you could be right. But the reality is, I think it does the most good for the most people. And that's the way I look at everything. How do you do the most good for the most people in the best way? And how do you reward people that are good and punish people that are bad? And I work backwards from that thinking, and that's how I come to conclusions. I don't think based off of, like, what's fair or not fair or anything like that, because I view that fairness as a inversion. Because to me, the unfairness is suffered by the people who have to live in a society where they're under threat of this violence.
Okay, let me pause and say that I can agree. Because silence means agree, but it's different when I just express it, verbalize it. I agree with Asmongold here. And actually my thinking is as well in this direction, in this way. But I might have more outsider perspective, and it might happen to be even more real than the one he has. I love this guy.
And so that's the way I see it. And so, like, it's not that I don't have any morals. It's that the way that I look at things is just, I think, different than the way that a lot of other people look at things. And I've learned this over the years, right? This is why I usually don't give my opinion on a lot of moral issues. It's because usually I have the wrong opinion. But yeah. But you need to at least be based.
I guess by wrong opinion, you mean minority opinion.
On the law. Now you're saying it's okay to circumvent the law if you think it's for an abstract good reason? Well, no, and that's what I said, right? I mean, they shouldn't do it if it's against the law. But why don't you just change the law then? Like, I mean, we change laws all the time. So, like, if the logic is that it's against the law, so we can't do it, well, why don't you just change the law? I mean, again, like, so I get what you're saying, and I can understand that. Trump literally said that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Why should you have moral? Why should you have morals for those that are immoral? Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I think your opinions are based off facts and sound logic. Yeah. I don't. You have people's thoughts, but most don't realize they'd act the way that you're thinking if they were put in that situation. Yeah, and I think this is one of the other reasons is that, you know, a lot of people know this, but I am the most empathetic streamer, right? And the reason why is because I can put myself in the shoes of another person, and I can try to understand how they would feel, not how I would feel if I were them, but how they would feel. And then I work backwards from that, and I think about how can I create a world for this person where this person feels safe and good. And so instead of thinking about, you know, some other bullshit or what's going to make me feel good, I think about how to make them feel good. That's it. 2/3 majority would never agree to change the law deporting citizens? Easily they could. Easily. Yeah, I disagree with that. Completely. Yeah, they absolutely would. That's sympathy? No, it's not.
How it sounds. Citizens. Port citizens. Obviously, American citizens.
Sympathy is whenever you're feeling bad for something that happens negatively to another person. Empathy is when you're able to put yourself in that person's position and then look at how they feel. So it's a little bit different. A lot of people don't know that, but that is really what the difference is.